Hey guys, I just wanted to check in with you because you had a little bit of a hard time with the lines of symmetry lesson. So I really want you to make sure that you understand that concept so that you have it and then maybe redo that Google Forms assignment. So I'm just going to go over a couple things really quick. So I'm going to share my screen with you because there's a quick video that I want you to see, but instead of listening to the audio on the video, you're going to just kind of keep listening to my audio. So one thing that we want to look at when we're looking at shapes for lines of symmetry is, can we fold them over the center and can they come up to be the same on both sides? So in other words, if I have this piece of paper, right, there's one line of symmetry that if I fold it in half this way, right, fold it in half. When I open it, it's the same on both sides, right? So for this shape right here, and this, it could be folded this way because it would fold over on itself, but you would not be able to fold it up this way because if you look at it, if you folded it up that way, the bottom parts are longer and they would stick out, right? So if you picture it like folding paper, you wouldn't be able to fold it up. So this particular object would have one line of symmetry. And I think that we're pretty good at figuring that out. I think we can identify the objects that have one line of symmetry. I think based on what you put into the Google Forms, you had a little bit more trouble identifying the multiple lines of symmetry. So here's an arrow that had one line of symmetry. Okay, so let's look at the rectangle now. The rectangle has two lines of symmetry. You could fold the paper up and you could fold the paper in. Either way, the paper would fold on top of itself, it would match, and it would be fine. So that's that. Now, this kind of particular triangle, and there are different triangles that have different amounts of lines of symmetry. This triangle, two of the sides are the same, and one of the sides is shorter. So you could fold this over once this way, but you wouldn't be able to fold it up this way. So that has one line of symmetry. So that's for that kind of triangle. Can't do that, can't do that, wouldn't work. Okay, so now moving on though, we have something called an equilateral triangle. An equilateral triangle is different than that other kind of triangle because all three sides are equal. So the other triangle was longer on the top and had a short bottom, and this one is equal on all sides. So let's see about the line of symmetry for this one. This one has more lines of symmetry because all the sides are equal. So the length of the sides, especially for a triangle, does matter. Okay, now you guys had a little bit of trouble identifying the lines of symmetry on a square. So let's look at this square. Oh, great, still going. So let's pause and look at that for a second. If you look at it, you could fold it from the top down. You could fold it this way, but you could also fold it up and make a triangle and up and make a triangle. So a square, a perfect square that has four equal sides and right angles has 1, 2, 3, 4 lines of symmetry on the square. Okay, so now they're going into some photographs, which is a little bit different. Some things in nature have lines of symmetry as well. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to show you guys, one second. Okay, so the other thing that I want to show you guys is this lines of symmetry anchor chart, okay? So this has a definition. An object is symmetrical when it can be folded in half and both sides are exactly the same, congruent. Lines of symmetry divides a shape into two congruent parts. So congruent means that they're the same exact thing on both sides. A shape can have 0, 1, or more lines of symmetry. So here, we zoom in a little bit on the shapes over here. We have a diamond, an equilateral triangle, a circle, which actually has lots of lines of symmetry. Some of those same shapes that we looked at in the video, a rectangle having 2, a square having 4. You can also go into letters, some animals and some insects and some people, okay? So now with that being said, I'm gonna hop over. Thank you for being patient. I'm going into a lot of different windows. Let's see. Okay, I want to actually go over some of these questions so that when you redo it, you can have a little bit of context for that. So I think we went over the square question. Let's look at this number 2. Which of the following have more than one line of symmetry? Okay, so if you think about this, you could fold this up and down this way. This would have one line of symmetry. But if you tried to fold it up this way, it would not work. Okay, here's an equilateral triangle. We talked about that. This is sort of an odd polygon. Okay, this angle is different than this angle, which means any way you tried to fold it, it would not work. This too, this has all odd angles, so this would have no lines of symmetry. So we're talking about more than one line of symmetry. Think about what we're talking about there, okay? Then we have infinite lines of symmetry that need to come up with our circle. We talked about our square, we talked about our rectangle, and we talked about our equilateral triangle, so you guys should be able to do those successfully. Okay, true or false, this line of symmetry is correct. So I want you to think about that for a second. Would you be able to take a rectangle and fold it on that line, or would parts be sticking out? Parts would be sticking out. So that line of symmetry is not correct. Okay, and then it asks you to look at the lines of symmetry on this shape. Which of the following would complete the side of the shape if this line of symmetry is correct? So with this, guys, you need to be thinking about as if it were like being reflected over a mirror. Okay, so I'm actually gonna draw this in. If this was gonna be symmetrical, it's a very poor drawing, especially that wiggly part. Yeah, let's try that again. I don't have a pencil or anything. I'm just doing this with my mouse. Okay, if that was reflected over a line of symmetry, what would that look like, right? Let's look down and see. You can see the one that makes the most sense. Which of the following have at least one line of symmetry? And you have to look at the letters. And then how many lines of symmetry does this have? Keeping in mind that it is not an equal-sided. It's not a square, which is equal-sided. This is clearly longer than this, okay? So the only way you'd be able to fold that symmetrically would be one way down the length of it. Okay, and then we have some different pictures. How many lines of symmetry does this shape have? Think about that. Could you fold it this way, but maybe not this way? Okay, so I think that with that, you should be able to go in and find a little bit more success on this assignment. So with your cooperation, I'd like you to go in and do that Google Forms again. And if you could please have your parent email me and let me know that you did it so that I can go and check on your new score, that would be really great. I also want to remind you that if you finish and it scores it for you and it tells you you got an 8 out of 13, my recommendation would be come into the Google Hangouts, see me, ask questions. And my other recommendation would be watch the learning video again and try to take it again. Okay, there were a couple kids that did submit the answers to these twice. And that's great because that means they were like, oh, that wasn't that great of a score. If you get more than 1 or 2 wrong, really like you to try to take it a second time, okay? So thanks for watching, and I hope you have more success on that assignment now. Bye.